Hey everybody, and welcome back to Live Between Paychecks Kitchen. I'm us, Jack, and they're still like Jackson. This one's starting from my kitchen here, but we're going to move down to the grill by the pool. Again, this is Texas, it's summer, so we got a grill, but remember this Texas, like there's this worldwide Texas heat wave, man. Like everybody's catching the shit Texas always gets. So please be safe, especially if you're going to be outside. So do this next to a pool, or with a cooler beer, or whatever keeps you from overheating, man. So y'all be safe, drink water, okay? Now, this one's going to be great. I don't want to get into the history of it, but I did this for my first date back in the day. And it turned out really well, so I've just been tinkering with it ever since. This is really good. Before we get into it, be sure to like, share, subscribe to the YouTube stuff, ring the bell, get notifications when we do this. There's also a link down in the doobly-doo for our merch, like our aprons and our fake hands and spatulas and spoons, flippers, all kind of stuff. It's down there in small business. We appreciate it, and let's just get into it, man. Alright, I apologize for having to scream over the AC, but it's hot. First things first, you want to get some mushrooms. Now, I get these really big mushroom caps here, the portobello ones. You can use the smaller ones. You're going to use a lot more cheese and stuff for those. You want to get some cheese. I got Parmesan and the mozzarella, or the mozzarella for the normal folks. You want to get some bacon bits, or the real bacon, not that little crispy, crunchy shit. That's gross. Now, you can use salt, or if you're going to do that, go ahead with the garlic salt. But with the cheese you got, you really don't need that. You're going to need a little bit of butter, or pseudo butter spread. It's not mandatory, it just kind of helps a little bit here in Texas with the heat and the spread. First things first, wash your fucking mushroom caps, man. My brother-in-law's mother told me she didn't never wash mushrooms, so she threw them in a crawfish, and that's freaking disgusting. So, once you get these nice and washed, be careful with them because they can crack, and it makes it harder to keep the cheese out. So when you want to get a little bit of soft butter or the butter spread, and get you a butter, and just put a dollop on the top. You don't really have to kind of spread it around much, it'll melt and run down the sides. This I usually do just because it helps to keep it from sticking to the grill easier. Right? It's not mandatory, it's a totally optional step, it's completely up to you. Now, I used aluminum foil to kind of seal these down in the packages here because it's easier to move them, but if your fire's too hot or you're cooking something else that needs to be hotter, you can go ahead and put this aluminum underneath it and it helps catch a lot of it, and it keeps your cheese, if it melts, to run off in the grill, but I generally risk that. So once you get all this nice and buttoned up, now you get one of these. It's easier. You can buy the shredded mozzarella if you want to, or you can just get your shredder and do it yourself and get the block stuff. It's cheaper by like $1, so I don't mind the manual labor here. Now use the nice open holes, put it at a 45-degree angle because, I don't know, tradition? I don't know. It's easier to keep your fingers away from me if you do it at an angle. Try to do as much as you can. It depends on how much cheese you want to use. We're just going to use a little bit of our other cheese, our Parmesan stuff, so it's mostly going to be the mozzarella, the mozzarella. You're Scarlet Fairly over on TikTok. That's where I accidentally learned that. Apparently it was a Sopranos issue. So once you get all that nice and buttoned up, shave it down about half to a quarter, depending on how much you want to do. Now you get your grill, you get it up to about 250 to 300 degrees, put it at about low is what I put up. Fire in the back is going to be a little bit higher than it is in the front, especially on this grill. If you're using charcoal, move it away from the heat. Now put the cap down. Sorry, I completely missed that. Put the cap down and let these cook for about 10 minutes. All right, they're going to start to get soft, especially with the butter on top. Ignore the pork belly and the grilled cauliflower. You can find those videos also on our playlist. I'd cook those at the same time. So once these are melted and done, pretty nice, right? You can kind of see in the back they're going to start cooking a little faster. So you want to put your bigger ones back there. And take your little ones away from there. Alright, now again, I kind of want to scoot this closer. There, cut off all that pork belly goodness there. Now flip these over after about 10 minutes, because that'll be the inside cooked. And see how it's starting to stick, because there wasn't butter on the top side there? That's my fault. So go ahead and flip these over. You're going to give them a couple minutes with just the cap down, right? Move the small ones out of away from the heat, the big ones into it. So now you've got them all cupped up and sitting here. You want to get that mozzarella. Now the mozzarella, while I was cooking this for the 10 minutes in this heat, the cheese cooked into one giant blob, so I couldn't just sprinkle it in there. So that's why I wouldn't suggest doing the shredded stuff, because it still just blocks up anyway. So I literally had to pull it apart after 10 minutes of being outside next to the pool. So fill about half of the cup with, the cap with your mozzarella, and then just want to cover it with the Parmesan. Parmesan can overpower a lot of stuff because of the salt and the oil content in it, so be careful with that. So just a little bit, just to kind of decorate the top and seal it down, really, is what I use. The mozzarella melts relatively quickly, and easily, right? And the Parmesan takes a little longer, so it kind of keeps it on there. If it starts dripping, just take it and pull it back up there. So you give it about 5-6 minutes, right? And melt that cheese down, start cooking on the edges, and come in and get your Baco bits and just kind of sprinkle them on top. Give them another 3 or 4 minutes, let that melt and cook in there and heat up. And then once you feel it, and you can feel the cheese is melted all the way around, your mushroom is nice and soft and starting to cook, go ahead and pull those off. Now, sorry, I didn't have the footage of me closing the lid in between there. So about 10 minutes with it face down, to cook it a little bit, then curl it over and do about another 10 minutes with the cheese and everything. See where the cheese runs off? If you had the aluminum foil, it would be a problem. But this is great. Like I said, a little bit of salt, garlic salt on them is fine. I don't know how these do for what's it called, like meal prepping stuff. I did not eat all these. My niece and stuff, they enjoyed them, whatever, and my friends, stepkids, they enjoyed it, even though it was mushroom, just because it's a cheese delivery system at this point. That's all it is. But I ended up reheating to the next day, and it worked out okay. So, but I just did it in an air fryer versus microwave. You can probably do it in a regular oven too. So yeah, you got to try these out. It's well under our budget. The big expenditure is our cheeses on this one. The mushroom caps relatively cheap. The bacon bits relatively cheap. Your mazzaru or mozzarella, I keep saying it now. Yeah, that's going to be one of your big expenditures there, especially if you get the shredded stuff or a big bag of it. So yeah, definitely try these out. And there you have it, folks. This turned out amazing. It was always been great, but if you do it differently, you want to see us do it differently, let us know. Put it in the comments. That's what they're there for. We can revisit this. I enjoy it, so I'll eat it, whatever. If you do it differently, or you have a different recipe, or you got any recipe, you want to see us do it, or you just want to share the knowledge, let us know. You can also find us on social media. You can find us at Facebook, Pinterest, Patreon. We're at all those at Live Between Paychecks Kitchen. You can also find us at Instagram at Live Between. We had to short it down. You can find me, Osway Nerdy, on all those, including Twitter and TikTok, where I do a lot of my nerdy stuff, doing some action figure reviews. Most of my Instagram is just miniature painting. I'm that kind of guy. So, giant nerd. I'll see y'all next time, y'all. Please be safe. Stay cool. Stay out of the heat as best you can. And I'll see y'all next time.